October 30th, 2016. You're listening to the Trial by Fire podcast with your hosts, John and Colby. Welcome. Welcome this week. We decided to do it today a little bit early for two reasons. One, we skipped last week's podcast. We didn't do one last week. And two, more importantly, tomorrow's Halloween. Nobody wants to sit around and watch the fucking podcast. I don't want to be sitting in my house doing nothing on Halloween. I don't know about you, Colby.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing it tonight. We're going to do the podcast tonight, hopefully before The Walking Dead comes on. I don't know. If not, nobody's going to be watching this. They should be watching The Walking Dead, and
They
I'll have
should
to I'll have to catch up later. So, a lot has happened this week. Well, actually, a lot has happened, I should say, in the last 2 weeks. First and foremost, very important, the Nintendo NX was announced officially by Nintendo this week. Not going to be the Nintendo NX, obviously that was a placeholder name. Instead, they are calling it the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
It's a Wii, but it's portable. It's a Wii U, but it's portable.
I can't say that it's a Wii U because when the Wii U first came out, everybody thought it was a addition to the original Wii console.
That's fair, but I mean, like, literally, it's the concept of the Wii U where you've got a big tablet with two controller bits on each end, and you can take it places. The big difference is that the side controllers come off. I see a couple of problems with this. You know what my first problem I see is? So it locks into place, right? Which means there's probably a button on the back, right? Like
Yeah.
to hold the controllers. So could you just like imagine for a second you're out in public, you're playing with your fucking Wii Next Generation, and you're holding it in your hand, and you're just like sitting in the mall at a kiosk getting your feet done or something, and you're like fiddling with it, and you feel those buttons on the back, and you forget what they do, and you click them, and the screen goes out of it onto the ground.
That would really suck, but
Just
from actually, I'm looking at a couple of screenshots of it right now of the back side of it. It doesn't look like there's any buttons, so it's probably one of those snap in place ones where you have to actually force it to pop out of place.
So then you could just go and drop it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So if you
It's
do that
such
jerking motion at all, it's just gonna drop that screen.
somebody's gonna make a game for that thing, and it's gonna be like Etch a Sketch the game, where you're sitting there and you're drawing on the screen, and then you're supposed to shake it to get it to go away, and and it's gonna break, and it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, probably.
I see
Someone's gonna find a way to break it right off the bat. You know that.
I see so much potential for like things going wrong with this console. So Colby didn't watch the commercial for it, the really long like 8-minute commercial, but I watched the commercial and they showed this person get into a cab with this thing. I could easily see, because most of the time when you're in a cab, you're paying with cash, right? So maybe you're sitting in the back of a cab and you've got your stupid Nintendo console with you, and you set it on the seat. You pull out your wallet, hand the person the money, grab your bag, and then you leave your fucking Wii in the car. That's a fucking $300 console. You're just leaving in
It's not
a
a
taxi.
Wii. Come on, man. If you're gonna call it something, call it the Switch. Like
The Switch is
they
a
want it to
dumb
be called.
name. The Switch is a dumb name. Doesn't even make sense.
It kind of does because you can switch in between a console, like a home console or a portable. You're
The
just
Wii
it's
does
switching.
that. You just can't. You just can't
No,
take
the
it
Wii does
with you.
not do that.
The Wii
You
does
can't
do
take it
that.
with you.
The
You
Wii
can't
does.
take it with you. It
No.
has to be connected to a console
Yes,
in order to work.
that is the only thing is that the Wii U, the difference between the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch is the Wii U has to be connected to the home console in order to be able to use the tablet. But who fucking plays video games on the go who's not using their phone to play it anyways? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole point of this is that Nintendo's trying to take over the mobile part of things, but also give you the freedom to play those same mobile games on your TV, or vice versa, having those 1080p video games portable. That's the whole reason for this console. That's the whole reason why Nintendo came out with it. That's even why they have those what is it? The cartridges now. They have the freaking gaming cartridges. They went back to those. You
For the Switch?
Yeah, it's not CD. It's cartridges, little
Well,
itty bitty cartridges.
oh, I thought it was all going to be like digital downloads. I would have been cool with that. Like honestly,
They do
it
have
seems like
digital downloads, but the cartridges they look like a an SD card. They're about the size of an SD card.
oh,
They go
someone's going
into
to
the
hack that.
back.
Someone's going to hack
The
that shit
top.
quick.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But
Such
I
a bad
mean,
idea.
what they're trying to go back to is their success with Game Boy, but they don't want to abandon the home console idea at the same time.
No, like I mean, if you look at Nintendo's history as far as a company goes, it makes sense for them to make a more portable device that plays games that are, better resolution, because those games they can still sell typically at like a $60 price point, whereas with like the Nintendo 3DS, I think like most of those games they started like what, $40, $35, somewhere in that range. So
Yes.
so they're not making as much money on those games, and they're all really low resolution. Like they're great games to go take out. Like I love playing Pokemon. I mean, I'm really excited for Pokemon Sun and Moon to come out. Um, and there's other games, but I don't know. It's also they're not super social consoles either. They're main portable devices. It's like they tried everything that they could to make them. And I remember when the Nintendo 3DS, like the original one, first came out, it was a big deal for like the street passing and all that stuff, that all those like social interaction things. But I remember it also being just kind of like I never knew when, like, because I'd bring my 3DS to work with me. I never knew any of the people who came in who had one. I just knew that at the end of the day when I got home, oh hey look, I passed with 7 people today. How cool is that? Oh, this one works for Nintendo. I remember that. That was an impressive day for me. Is when I found out that I passed with somebody who worked at Nintendo. Um, but but the social interaction isn't really there. And in order to like be able to interact with anybody who's playing your game, typically what you have to do is connect to the internet, and that's something kind of cool about the Nintendo Switch, is that those controller bits that come off the side, each one can be used independently as its own controller separately from the console and just wirelessly, and you can play like, you go down to the park or something, or over to your buddy's house. You've already got 2 controllers. You and your buddy can sit there on that little fucking screen, but and play Mario Kart, or play Super Mario Bros. Or Super Smash, or whatever Nintendo game is popular at the time, Splatoon.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And thankfully, Nintendo's not doing what they've been doing in the past and doing first party games. They have a lot of third party support for this new console. Like big names like Activision, Bethesda, Capcom, Sega, Warner Brothers. I mean, they got a lot of big names that are stepping up to the plate for this console. So hopefully, we'll actually be able to see like Skyrim on there. I think having Skyrim on the go would be amazing, or to have the Mass Effect trilogy on there. That would be just awesome to be able to take that on like a long drive, or if you have to go fly somewhere, that would be perfect for you. That's what this console is more geared towards, is having those AAA games, be able to play it on your big screen, not lose any of your progress, take it with you and play it while you're going.
And then it dies on you. Use your progress anyways, since the battery is probably not going to last very long.
Well, no, actually, the game cards, I've been reading up more on it. The game cards itself actually holds the saves for you, and it has a limited amount of slots on the game saves themselves.
Mhm.
So, for instance, right here, I'm looking at one of them. They have an example on their webpage here. Okay, so one game can hold up to 12 save slots,
Okay.
and those 12 save slots can be overwritten, deleted, or edited. So you could actually do modding on your own saves. What they're saying right on their own website is that you could basically mod your own saves, which will be an interesting thing to see.
But what I'm curious about is whether or not, I mean, every game is different. So some games will autosave for you, some games won't. Some games
Correct.
you have to hit a save spot, or you have to hit a checkpoint or something. Um, so you could be in the middle of like a mission on like Skyrim, like you're halfway done, you haven't saved in a while, you weren't thinking about it because you're just so into it, and then the console dies and you're in a taxi and you rage quit. Like I could
Well,
like.
hopefully they put into a system that says, "Hey, you only got 2 minutes left of battery power." That way, it gives you enough time to save. But yeah, you're right. There's always that possibility of losing all that progress you just made. But I
Hmm.
mean, that's also with cell phone games too. Some of them don't have autosave features. Some of them do have save features. I mean,
But
it's a gamble.
when it comes to cell phone games, though, none of them are like as immersive as like a real console game for sure. Like cell phone
Okay, how about
games.
a DS game? How about that? Like they know their mobile market already. They know how to to show a battery life signal, up in the corner. They might do the same thing with the Switch, to have just a little itty bitty thing on the screen there that tells you what your battery life's at, and maybe
Oh,
they might pop something up on the
th-
screen. Pause the game you're playing, pop something up, say, hey, your battery's at this amount. You only got this amount of time left.
there is no doubt in my mind that Nintendo's going to do something with that as far as the battery life is concerned. I'm just kind of being pessimistic about the console.
I know you're being devil's advocate. You're being like the little, oh my god, the fanboy. Let's do this, yeah.
Well,
But
I've never really been like a big fan of Nintendo, not for a long time. Like I really like the Nintendo 64, and I got a GameCube because there was a really good Pokemon game on the GameCube that I wanted. But then after the GameCube came out, like the Wii was a real novelty thing, and I
yeah,
thought it was cool when it first came out. But then I realized like the Wii is only fun when you're playing like the fucking game that comes with it, which is the Wii Sports. Fucking
yeah.
bowling and baseball bat and all that shit. Like it's fun to use those controls to do that because it feels like kind of anyways. It's like a life simulator as far as doing those goofy activities. And then they came out with like the Wii Sports Resort, and that one's pretty cool too. But I still OG original Wii Sports. But like I played other games on it, and it's like they completely ignored the fact that they had motion controls, except for like a couple of moves and stuff that might be in the game. Like for instance, Super what is it? New Super Mario Brothers Wii that came out like 5 years ago. Like that game is fun, but you're playing it on a console on a controller that's not designed to be held like a standard controller. They literally were like, "This is how the controller's supposed to be. Now take the nunchuck out of it, turn it sideways, and now you're holding a stick." Like it's literally like it's weird. You're playing on something like this. It's just weird, And I know that they've got accessories that you can buy that look and feel more like normal controllers. We shouldn't have to buy a separate accessory to play a game. Like if you're gonna buy an accessory, it should just like make the game more immersive, not more convenient to play.
Well,
Like
on their official website here, it's the joystick controllers can be used as two separate controllers, so you can have two people playing on one system, which
mhm.
is fine, But again, we're back to it's a really tiny thing and it's hard to play with.
Yeah, it's literally
But
it's like a Wiimote but half the size.
correct. But for the what's in the box when it's shipped to you, there's actual add-ons to it that when you put them together, it's almost just like an Xbox One controller.
That is something I do remember seeing that. It's when
It,
you've got that unit and you're playing at home and you're going to be playing a normal game because the console
yes.
plugs into a base. So when the console plugs into the base and you're using that controller, like that's fine to play with. But then if you want to play two player, I mean, certainly you could have a second set of this bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
but that's really inconvenient. Like I think a selling point for them could be that you can automatically don't need anything extra out of the box in order to play two players. But then it makes me question at the same time, like you've got essentially what it has to be is two of the same joysticks on each side, just with a different like the opposite connectors, so that like mirror images of each other.
Yes.
So are there going to be joysticks on the controller? And
Yes, there are. There's joysticks on both controllers. On the left side, it's up above the buttons. So you got, just like a legitimate Xbox One controller. You got the joystick up here with the D-pad below it. You got a joystick down here and then buttons above it. These are your action buttons. Just like that on the website
so
is how their controller is going to be. They also have a Pro controller that looks almost exactly like the old Xbox 360 controller.
So then my question becomes, if you're supposed to be able to use this console with two players, and on one side you've got a joystick and a D-pad, and on the other side you have a joystick and your ABXY buttons, like how are you going to control anything? Like
Um,
I can't be the only person who's thinking like what's
I'm pretty sure that they got some way of changing the controller setup for when they are disconnected. They automatically go from being able to control your character and your camera at the same time to being able to just control your character and camera with one joystick. That's the only
that
way I can think of this working.
that's
To be
back.
honest with you.
If that's the way it is, that's really backwards thinking. Honestly, like
Well, there's no real other way for they could do it though.
I
You
could,
know what I mean?
yeah, I understand. Like, I could see if what they're doing is only specific games they do that with, and those games are kind of designed to be played that way. It's like you can play it with two joysticks and all the other bullshit, but you don't have to. Or
Well,
possibly there's like a button on the side or on the top or something where you push it and it changes what the right buttons do. So you obviously are going to have the joystick in your left hand, no matter which side of the controller you're using. But one of those controllers is going to be a D-pad. I'm sure that there's a button or something that you can hit to change that from being a D-pad to being an ABXY button. That makes sense to me. And then maybe another button to change what the other thing does. But you're just adding all this complication to it.
what complication are you talking about? Because the games that they've been featuring already are their first-party games like Mario Kart, which you
That's a
have
simple
no
game.
camera controls
Yeah,
whatsoever.
that is a simple game.
Correct.
But something I saw them do is they had in the commercial they took two of the Nintendo Switch consoles, four players, all using the half controllers, and they were playing Splatoon.
Okay.
How do
Not a
you
hard thing. That's not a hard thing to do. You just attach the camera to the character, so whenever the character turns right, the camera swivels that way behind them, so the camera's always facing behind them. It's a really easy mechanic to do.
and that's dumbing down the game though if that's what they
That
decided.
is dumbing down the game, but that's
It's
also allowing
backwards.
two people to play with one controller. See, you're stuck on this whole, oh my god, they're making it very simplistic for people, where what you don't understand, this is more geared towards people that want to travel with their games. Plain and simple. They were just trying to make it more consumer friendly for the families that have little kids that they want to play a game with every once in a while
I,
they're in a car ride.
I just think it's silly.
You
I
know,
just,
they're not looking for the mainstream gamers like you and me. They are looking for the family-based gamers that want to have fun while they're on a road trip, you know, or if they stop at Taco Bell or somewhere to have food, while they're waiting for food, they can quickly do a fucking game of Mario Kart, you know.
I don't know how quick your Taco Bell is, but I'd be willing to bet I could complete a level in Halo 4 or Halo 5 in the amount of time it takes me to sit at Taco Bell to get some food.
That's the same here. They're fucking god awfully slow here, but that's a discussion for another
That's
day.
that's a different discussion for a different time, and we
Yeah.
will definitely talk about that sometime. But tell us what you guys think about the Nintendo Switch console. Have you seen anything about it? Have you guys seen the commercials? Are you going to buy it? Let us know in the chat. We are live right now for the next 45 minutes, or in the comments of this video tomorrow when it comes out. Welcome, Luke. I just saw that Luke joined our chat. Welcome, welcome to the podcast. First shout out ever on the podcast, by the way. Um, I think I'll buy the Nintendo NX though. I think I will just because I do want to get a Nintendo console. And I was actually looking recently into getting the Wii U, but then I thought let's wait and see what the Nintendo NX is. And it looks like it's something that actually could be kind of cool and mainstream. So I definitely want to look into getting that. And when the time comes, we can review it.
Hell yeah, because I would love to play it. I don't know if I want to actually own one. Not until I get my hands on the controls and see how it really functions. But like you said, that's down the road, and we could possibly do a review on that. We don't know yet.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, doing stuff together, like transitioning really well into here, we have some big news. As the title of the podcast suggests, we have some big news. And drum roll, wait for it, please. Da 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 da. Me and Colby are becoming roommates. This guy over here. I can't get my directions right. That way. Me and this guy. So this is going to be. So, okay. So I'd like to apologize, first of all, for last week. We didn't have a podcast. This week we're doing this podcast so that we can make this announcement. And then we're probably not going to do another podcast for about 2 weeks. Because with me going to be Colby's roommate, I have to move. And I'm the one who hosts the podcast, so while I'm in the process of moving, my computer's going to get unhooked and all that fun stuff, and everything's going to get packed up. So I wanted to, before all this shit came down and it didn't look like my room anymore, to do the podcast. So this is going to be the last podcast for, like, about a month, really. Like, probably we won't be able to do another one till after Thanksgiving.
Yep, probably.
Yeah. But that's all right. You guys will just have to get your fill on this podcast, and I'll be working on some content as well. And Colby is working on his machinima. Do you have any content that you plan on releasing anytime soon that we could talk about?
My first episode of 9 will be released in on December 1st. Actually, the first episode will drop December 1st. Editing for episode 1 is complete. Now we started post production on episode 2, just getting some of the cinematic shots done with it. Most of the dialogue's done with episode 2 as well. My composer for music, he has been sending me some stuff, and I'm very impressed with it. So it should be up and running a couple weeks after that. So I'm looking at a 2-week schedule for the episodes, starting December 1st.
Cool. I don't have anything that I'm immediately planning on, but I am working on a project right now, and that project I'm calling the Vlogumentary. It's going to be like a 3-part, 45 minutes apiece series of videos about me transitioning from my current life, where I'm at right now, and transitioning to my new life down in Texas. And I got a lot of footage last night, and a lot of it was just like Halloween party slash farewell party for myself that I threw with my friends, and a lot of shit happened last night. So I've got a pretty good story to tell here if you're all right with me rambling for a little bit.
That's fine. Go ahead.
All right.
I'll just look up something on YouTube while you talk to these gentlemen, these ladies and gentlemen out in the audience.
All right. So, I made the announcement to my boss. So the decision was made for me to move down to Texas. I think we decided on like Wednesday was the day that I decided it's time to go. It's time to start this new life, because I've been wanting to get out for a while now. Things have been stressful at my job, and just lots of fun stuff that is not actually fun. Dealing with anxiety and depression, and Colby's been putting up with me whining to him for weeks.
Oh, get off your high horse, dude. Jeez.
So we made the decision on Wednesday, and I put in my 2-week notice with my boss on Saturday, and I decided that Saturday was going to be the day that I was going to go out, I was going to get fucked up, and I was going to like throw a farewell party and hang out with my friends and do something fun one last time. Here's what I didn't know. Saturday apparently was the day to go costume partying, because I would have bought a costume. I didn't even know. We went to the bar and I was just dressed up. I was just dressed up like normal, and there's people there. I saw so many characters. Like I saw Team Valor person, whoever the fuck her name is, or his name, whoever the gym leader is for Team Valor for Pokemon Go. I saw Fred and Wilma from the Flintstones. I saw a million Harley Quinns, a million Jokers, just all kinds of stuff. It was awesome. Oh yeah, and I saw Jon Snow. I gave Jon Snow a cigarette.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a really cool night. So I'm gonna kind of like just overview of what happened. So, went and picked up my brother, picked up my roommates. We headed out to the bar. When we sat down at this bar, I was the first person to get a drink, shot of Jameson, and a local brew. Took a shot, started drinking my Jameson, and this guy was sitting next to me. He's like, "That stuff's good stuff," and he's pointing at the Jameson shot that I just taken. And this guy starts rambling to me. He's like, "That stuff's yucky," and he just kept going on about how beer was gross and that Jameson was good. And I started talking to him about why we were out. He's like, "So I noticed you guys aren't dressed up, so you guys aren't here for the costume party. Like, what are you guys doing tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, we're celebrating." He goes, "Oh yeah, what are you celebrating?" "I'm moving to Texas." "Moving to Texas? Why the hell are you doing that?" And he started giving me shit. We started talking, and I told him about like my goals and aspirations and why I wanted to do it. And he's like, "That's fucking cool, man. That is awesome." So you know what he did? He's like, "Bartender, come over here, bartender. This guy's going to Texas. He's gonna go do this." And I was like, "Oh no, this this drunk dude, and he kept my attention away from my friends the entire time. Like the entire time we're at the bar, I had to ignore them because this guy wouldn't stop talking to me. He tries to buy me a shot of Jameson. He's like, "This guy needs a shot of Jameson." I was like, "Don't give me another shot of Jameson because I don't do well with alcohol. I just wanted to take one shot, not two shots." He's like, "Get this guy a Jameson." I don't want a Jameson. Get him a Jameson anyways. So she sets it on the counter, and I'm like, I really don't want a Jameson. And she looks at the guy, and she's like, he's not gonna drink it. And she's like, he doesn't want it. Like she was like angry with the guy. Like, what the fuck do you make me pour this for? He's like, can I buy a cold smoke then? I was like, yeah, you can buy me a cold smoke because that's the beer that I was drinking. And I got a free beer that night from this guy. And then we get a text from my roommate's brother saying that he was going to this college party. So we're like, okay, college party. Let's go check this out. None of us are dressed up for a fucking bar dress-up party anyways, so let's go check out this college party. So we head down there. I'm pretty well on my way at this point, having 2 beers and a shot. And we get there, and as soon as we're walking in the door, some dude is inside the house screaming, "All you need motherfuckers need to get out of my house. I'm calling the cops. Y'all been smoking in here." Da, 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 just freaking out. And we walked in and we walked out. And we went around back. And
okay.
I don't know why the guy was freaking out. Like, I don't know what was going on. But I think he was just trying to get all the freshmen out of there. Like, because the house was like, it was nut to butt. Like, you could not move in there. It was just too cramped. So we go around the back, and there's a couple people just sitting in the back, chilling, throwing darts at a board, and drinking alcohol. So we go back there, we start drinking alcohol, and start throwing darts at the board. House clears out after like 10 minutes. Cops never showed up. We go back inside, start drinking alcohol in there. Somebody passes me one of those little mini kegs, and I chugged out of that thing. And we were there for like maybe, I'd say 20 minutes at this party in total. From like the time we arrived and we heard them yelling, in the garage, back into the house, taking shots and drinking beer. It was about 20 minutes. And all of a sudden, out of the living room, this whole other group of people, like we were in one social little circle, and there was another group of people in another social circle. And we just hear out of the living room, they start going, "Zamboni, Zamboni." And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I look in the living room and I see this guy who I've never seen before, some college douchebag, snorting the biggest line of cocaine I've ever seen in my life. To be fair, it's the only line of cocaine I've ever seen in my life, but it was massive, at least as far as I can tell. And he just that shit up, man.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm out, because I don't fuck around with drugs. I don't fuck around with drugs. I left, and 10 minutes later, my roommate texted me, and he goes, "Hey man, it's a good idea that you left. The cops just showed up looking for drugs." I was like, holy shit. So that happened, and so then we decided to go pick up my buddy Ben, not Ben who just joined the chat, different Ben. And he actually had a costume. So he gets his costume and he loans me a mask. And it's just this big silver dome. Like, if you've ever seen Daft Punk, like the one, it's like that, but it's just like the front of it. And it just strapped onto my head. We put on a bunch of glow sticks. I put on a hoodie, and we were ready to rave. We went back down to that bar, and we started drinking. My brother ditched us in within 40 minutes. He's got back problems. He was supposed to be our designated driver, but he's got back problems, and somebody pushed him down a set of stairs, it was 2 steps, but somebody pushed him. He landed on the ground, and he's like, "I gotta go." He couldn't deal. So it was just me and my buddy Ben, but now we don't have a car, so we're like, I guess we're staying here all night. So we started just buying drinks and dancing and having fun. And I got pretty well fucked up because I'd already been to 2 different spots drinking and was back now at a 3rd spot. And he had been at work all day, so he only had 3 beers while we were there. But we started dancing. I was grinding up on women. It was a great time, just fucking sexy Halloween costumes and shit. And people really digging the mask. And there was, electrolytes and shit, and it was really working well with the mask. And I realized after it was about half an hour before the bar was supposed to close, I was like, oh, if I drink anymore, I'm gonna pass out. I need to stop. I had half a beer left, binned it. Went back to the dance floor, started dancing with my buddy again. You know, was hitting it up, and I could tell that I was pretty drunk because I was kind of stumbling a little bit into people, but I was pretty clear headed too. But there's a problem with this mask that I'm wearing. So I wear glasses and I'm wearing this mask, and the shit would fog up. I couldn't see anything out of it. And it didn't help that you really couldn't see anything out of it already, anyways. Like in the daylight, I'm sure it's fine, but when it's dark like that, you can't see shit out of that thing. So I've got this mask on. I'm dancing. My buddy's like, all right, man, bar's closing. Time to go. So I was like, all right. I took 2 steps. It was like a half stumble to the left, half stumble to the right. And then I tried to take another step forward, and I did that drunk, like hard, like step. And when I stepped, I didn't step on sidewalk. I stepped in a puddle of mud. I swear to God, dude. I was drenched head to toe in mud, just from my ankles like onto my face. Like it went under the mask and onto my face. When I got home later that night, and I looked at myself in the mirror, I just couldn't stop laughing. I was just dying. My shirt was ruined. My pants were ruined. Like it's a good thing that we were leaving the party. Unfortunately, though, I didn't get just me. I got about 7 people who were just happened to be unlucky enough to be standing within like 5 feet of that spot. So I just boom, splash, 7 people's costumes ruined. I I I started laughing about it, and then some guy went, "Boo! What the fuck, man?" Some dude I couldn't even see because I had my mask on still. It was great. It was fucking hilarious. And then so my buddy drives, my buddy gets his roommate to come pick us up, and he drives me home. And as I'm walking into my house, I feel my watch go off because my watch tracks shit and it like tells me stuff. So I feel my watch go off, and I look at my watch and it says, "Congratulations, you've reached your daily activity goal for the day." And I was like, "What?" And I was looking at it. I was like for Sunday, I hit it by like 2 o'clock in the morning because I was just dancing and moving and like just doing shit, and my watch tracked it as exercise, which was
Wow.
it was a fun night, I have to say. I recorded a lot of stuff, and that's going to be in that big 3-piece 45-minute project that I'm working on. So look forward to that. Anybody who cares to see a bunch of drunk people at a rave, and kids doing cocaine, and then me being really somber in my car. Yeah, I went to McDonald's, and I ate McDonald's, and I talked about some sad shit. Uh, but that was my farewell party for me. I'm probably not going to do any more drinking. I mean, I'll probably still do some drinking while I'm here because there's a lot of really good beer here that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss it when I'm gone. And it's gonna be different going down to Texas and having to deal with Shiner, Bach, whatever the fuck it is that you guys have down there that everybody
It's not the
drinks.
only fucking beer down here.
I know,
I
but
just don't drink beer, so I don't really know.
that's what everybody drinks. I'm gonna have to import some with me. I've got growlers. I'm gonna get them filled, and before I go down there, I have to just make sure it doesn't like burst in my car or something. By the way, like now that we can actually talk about this freely, I am having one hell of a fucking time trying to consolidate all my shit to fit just into my car.
Oh, I bet. I bet you're just having so much fun.
I got these 2 shelves here, can't bring it with me. I've got a bunk bed that I bought 2 months ago, can't bring it with me. My desk,
Have a garage
can't
sale,
bring.
dude.
I
Have a
can't.
garage sale.
I don't have a garage or a yard to sell my stuff in. I live in an apartment complex.
Is there a local church or anything that you could go to?
To like give them my shit, I'm not just gonna give somebody my
No,
shit.
not give it. Like, ask them. Be like, hey, I don't have a yard or a garage.
Nobody
Can I
wants.
sell my shit?
Nobody wants IKEA furniture. Like, I think I spent like $15 on each one of these. I don't even care about them, to be honest. Like, I'll just leave them here. My roommates will probably take them. The
Yeah,
desk,
probably.
the desk was like $30, but originally it was like $250. The reason why I got it for 30 was because it was like a misorder through Staples.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like a double order, and we had to get rid of it, and it was either like somebody buys it or we throw it away. So I was like, how much are you guys selling it for? $30. Sure, I'll take it. Threw it in my car, and it was like literally in my car for like 4 weeks until I moved. So
Why don't you dismantle it? Could you fit it in your car if you dismantled it?
No. It's pretty fucked. Like, I don't think it would handle another move, to be honest with you. Like, the desk probably is going to have to be thrown away for sure if whoever moves in doesn't decide to keep it. Honestly, what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to take all my shit, obviously, but as far as, like, the shelves and the desk and the bed goes, I'm just going to leave it here. I already talked to my roommates about it, and they're pretty much okay with it.
Okay. Well, like I said when we were discussing this earlier in the week, I already got a bed for you, so you don't have to worry about that. I have a couple drawers, dressers that you can use too. So we got stuff here for you.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the furniture aspect of it. It's like everything else. Like, I cleaned up my room on Wednesday. Like I went through a bunch of stuff because I got a ton of junk, just like garbage that I held onto for some reason. So I went through a bunch of stuff. Ended up throwing away like 3 totes of just it was literally just garbage, like junk paper, um, uh, failed projects that I didn't have any need for, failed like electronics projects that I didn't have any need for that like literally I couldn't like scrap it or anything for anything useful, and like boxes for stuff that I don't even know where that stuff's at. You know, this is like really a bunch of really dumb things that I held on to for some reason. So I was able, luckily, to consolidate a bunch of stuff on Tuesday, but it's like I still have all of my Halo shit, like this whole wall, um, all of my bedding and my clothes, my fan, my TVs, my computer. It's hard. It's hard trying to pack all this shit up. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's different when you're not moving somewhere in town. Like when we were moving in town, I was able to move a lot of stuff in my car over the course of several trips. I have to think about this now really tactically, Tetris style, you know.
Well, do you think you could get like a U-Haul,
I don't
like
have
one of those little trailers?
I don't my car can't haul a trailer,
Fair enough.
and I don't think that I could justify buying or renting a U-Haul for that long for the little amount of stuff that I have, anyways. Like, it's tricky, but I think I can do it. I'm gonna have to give some stuff away to my brother or to whoever wants it, but um, I just gotta not bring any junk with me. Like
Yeah.
no faff. Just like the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. To forget about your worries and your strife. Nothing to say on that, Colby?
No.
You seem pretty tired tonight. How was your day?
It's been a long one, man. Luckily I didn't have to work today, so
How was it long if you didn't have to work?
well, Seattle Seahawks lost today, which is my favorite
No! I
team.
was watching that game earlier. What happened? What
Th-
happened?
They just didn't fucking show up to play for one thing. It wasn't Seattle Seahawks I know. So that made it long. I've been running around trying to get this room somewhat picked up and packed and ready to go for when you show up. I'll show the viewers. I'm not scared.
You got 3 weeks.
Look at all that junk.
All
All
that
that
junk
junk inside
inside
that
your
trunk.
trunk.
But
I'm glad we went to the
but yeah,
same
this
place.
is going to be your room that I'm in right now. So I'm trying to clean everything up. That's why there's like nothing on the walls behind me. The desk right here is like packed with shit because I'm just trying to consolidate everything, move it out, and it's been a long day. And tomorrow I got a 12-hour shift, and that's gonna suck too. So,
Yeah.
that's life. Though.
You don't have to put too much effort into cleaning up the room. It's like we have 3 weeks. I
I
mean,
know. But if I don't do it on my days off, I'm never gonna fucking do it.
yeah. It,
So,
so I went to the store today and I found something, and
oh God.
I bought it for a singular purpose,
Uh
and
huh.
it's just for like a gag, and
Okay.
I'm going to use it like so. I want to be able to I want to have this on me, and go somewhere and somebody pulls out a lighter for somebody's like, hey man, you got a light, and uh, they can somebody will pull out their lighter and they'll go to light their cigarette, and you're just like, you call that a lighter? This is a lighter. This thing is the size of my hand.
Like, why did you get that?
Because I saw it and I was like, I need this in my life.
How much did that cost you?
It was $15.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
No, like honest, like I almost didn't get it because I asked the guy at the counter. I was like, "Hey man, how much is this?" You know, I just handed it to him, and I thought he said $50. I was like, "Fuck, dude, for his like a novelty Zippo? No way!" And then he's like, "No, 15." Gotcha. I'm getting this. So I can't wait, like, to just have this on me and somebody be like, "Hey man, you got a light?" Yeah, certainly. Because it's a real lighter. Like it actually works. I couldn't find my fluid that I have here, and when I was at Walmart, I couldn't find fluid there. Like I didn't try very hard, but I couldn't find it.
Really?
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
I wasn't trying too hard. Like but I was looking around where I was at, which was like near the cigarette section, which you think that's where the lighter fluid would be. No, I couldn't find it.
It should be in the camping area, the outdoors area.
Yeah, I wasn't going over there. I was already like at checkout.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and like I just think it's gonna be hilarious to like I'm gonna go see my parents this weekend probably or next. Ah, fuck no. It'll have to be like I think I have Wednesday. It'll have to be Wednesday. Because I'm going to go do something the week after next with my buddy down in Bozeman, so I can't go then. So
That thing is really fucking loud, by the way.
sorry,
Thank you. You
I
are so kind.
I can't help but play with it. But I'm gonna go see my parents then Tuesday, uh, and stay the night over there. And I think it'll be really funny because I'm not gonna tell my dad that I have this. I'm just gonna leave it in my pocket, and then late into the night we're gonna be probably sitting outside. It's gonna be dark, and we're gonna be drinking probably, and he's gonna pull out a cigarette and be like, "Hey man, you got a lighter?" And I can be like, you know, pull this thing out, like, "Here you go," and he'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" It's just a fun little gag thing that I couldn't help but get. I couldn't help myself but to get it.
Oh yeah.
And it was the
I
only
think it's
one there
pretty cool.
too. Like it wasn't like there was like a shelf of them. It was like this was the last one. If I hadn't gone into Walmart today to go buy steak and bread, I wouldn't have seen that. I'm a very minimalistic type person. Steak and bread. That's what I had for dinner. I sous vide it. Never tried sous vide before. It was
You want to
pretty.
know what I had for dinner today?
What'd you have?
I was really fucking lazy and I had Hot Pockets. So I would love some steak and bread right about now,
I'll
but I
tell
was
you.
too lazy to make any.
I'll tell you what. When I come up, I'll make you steak and bread.
Sounds good.
No, I have a bit of an affinity for cooking. Like I really love cooking stuff. So be prepared for like you to come home sometimes and there will be like a full meal ready for you.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
like if I don't have to work that day and I am in the mood for cooking, like it's going to happen. I cook a lot of spaghetti, like pasta, and I'm really good at making pasta. You can ask my brother, you can ask my roommates, like best pasta they've ever had. Um, but the steak I sous vide. I've never sous vide anything before. Do you know what sous vide is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I cook too. It's just I haven't in a long time.
I didn't know what it was for the longest time. I was like, I think the first time I ever saw it was in Adventure Time when Jake the dog sous vide a steak for a sandwich, the ultimate sandwich.
You are literally taking cooking lessons from a cartoon.
Hey man, you gotta get your lessons somewhere.
All right.
So but I've done a lot of research on how to cook steaks specifically because I really like steak. I didn't know that I liked steak until I moved to or until I was in the army because my mom loved her to death. One of my favorite people in the entire world. She doesn't know how to cook. I'm sorry, mom, but you don't. You don't know how to cook. And same thing with my dad. And I hate to say that because they're my parents, but it's true. It's fucking true. And so when I was a kid growing up, they'd buy steak, but it'd be like pre-packaged steak, and it would be like a bunch of them, and they would sit in our freezer. And then my mom would be like, "Okay, we're gonna cook steak tonight." So then she'd pull them out in the morning, and they'd defrost during the day. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's not too unreasonable for a steak, at least knowing what I know as an adult. It's still kind of freezer burnt and shit, but whatever. It's food. But then she would cook it to death. It wouldn't be juicy. It wouldn't be tender. It wouldn't be tasty. It'd be tough and dry and gross, and I hated steak growing up. It was literally like a torture food. Like I couldn't eat it. And then I joined the army, and I had a steak for the first time when I was in the army. I had steak and eggs as my final breakfast
That was your
at boot
first
camp.
time eating that shit?
Eating good steak, yeah.
Oh, good steak. Okay, okay.
And it's not like it was the greatest steak in the world either, but I mean, it was the best steak I had ever had.
That's because you were in the Army and not the Air Force. We got executive chefs in the Air Force.
Yes, yes, that's why my roommate is joining the Air Force and not the Army.
Did you persuade him into that?
No, he made that choice on his own. If it was up to me, I'd have that little bitch ass join the Marines. But it's not up to me.
That reminds me. Oh my god, that reminds me. Okay, you know what job I do, right?
Yeah?
The viewers don't. I got a coworker who's joining the Marines. Okay?
Yes.
This guy is
Semper
scared of his
Fi,
own
do or
fucking
die.
shadow.
Hoorah! What?
He is scared of his own fucking shadow, no doubt. He
Oh.
gets so wound up at work that he will go into the back room and start crying because he's having such a horrible fucking day. A job, I've told you about the job, like the worst part of that job. It's not that hard.
Getting pepper sprayed.
Yeah, I got pepper sprayed. Oh, he puked. He was the only one that puked when he got pepper sprayed.
Oh, I'll probably puke. I'll make sure not to eat anything the day before.
No, just don't swallow the fucking thing like he did.
Oh, he swallowed some.
He swallowed like half of the fucking dose.
Oof. What he was like getting sprayed and he's like, ah!
Yeah, he went, oh. So he got it in his nose, his eyes, and his mouth, and he swallowed some of it, and he just started puking his guts out. Can't see, can barely breathe, and puking all at the same time.
That's great. I mean,
now he was mortified of pepper spray. Like, he will not go near it. If another person has it, he won't go near it.
Pussy.
He's like, oh, hell no.
So he's joining the Marines.
He's joining the Marines, and we are actually having a secret poll at work to see how long he will actually last. The poll is at an average of 1 month at basic training he's going to last.
If he is like that, I'd be willing to bet it's a week. Because the worst part about basic training is that first week.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, lack of sleep and always being yelled at. And
yeah, so the first week that you're there is actually the orientation week where you get all of your shots and you get your uniforms and you learn how to make your bed and all that stupid shit, and it's really easy and it's really calm.
And being
Yeah,
yelled at.
No. It's really calm. It's really calm the actual first week, and then the actual first week. So you've got your literal first week, and then there's the actual first week. The literal first week is when you get all that stuff and everything's pretty calm for the most part. I mean, you might occasionally get yelled at.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But then there's the actual first week where, you've got the shark attack where they're fucking on you. If you guys have, if anybody has ever, if anybody here has never seen a shark attack, just Google it or look it up on YouTube. The shit is terrifying, and it's funny. It's funny to watch.
Marine Boot Camp on the YouTube. You can watch the whole fucking thing in a condensed version of it.
Yeah, it's intense, and I had to go through it when I was in the army, and it was just like keep your head down and fucking move. I watched this kid who was about half my size. He was getting off the bus and his backpack got caught on the bus. So when he went to go step off, his backpack got caught. He missed the step and he went off the bus and landed on the ground. And those drill sergeants were on that motherfucker right quick and in a hurry. Just scary. Just no, get the fuck up, private. Just this 5 guys yelling at him. And you see that stuff. You can find that stuff on YouTube, and it's scary. And we had somebody within 3 hours of doing that. It was off the bus, up to our rooms, getting told where our beds were, and then waiting for them to issue us different things like different pieces of gear, helmets, bulletproof vests, all that stuff. And while we were doing that, we ended up doing 150 push-ups and a bunch of other exercises that I don't remember. And it was just really intense. And we were just getting yelled at because nobody was we were told, just take it, go back to your thing, set it down here. And people would take it and they'd fuck around with it, and then we get in trouble because they started fucking around with it. So within the first 3 hours of that, we had this guy. I remember he was almost directly across from me. He was this taller dude, but he was also kind of chunky. We all got down, and he stayed up, and my drill sergeant was on him. Just, what the fuck do you think you're doing, Private? And he goes, I'm refusing to train, drill sergeant. And he's like, refusing to train. Well, that's all right. You can refuse to train until I get tired. And so he started having us all, just putting our noses to the floor again. And the kid just stood there. And we were like, get down on the fucking ground. We started yelling at this kid, and he's just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. He's this fat piece of shit. Dude ended up, what ended up happening to that guy? He twisted his ankle like a week later. But, I mean, like, he, like, quit, but he still had to go to everything. So he was just there at everything, but he couldn't participate. But sometimes he'd have to do stuff with us. Like, sometimes if we were told to, like, run, he'd have to run with us.
Yeah.
Or other stuff. But the dumb thing is, when he hurt his ankle, like, he wasn't actually exercising. He, like, with the rest of us, we'd be wearing our backpacks, and we'd be going on a 5 or 10 mile hike, and we had all of our gear, and this motherfucker sit in the water truck. And every time we stopped, he'd get out. He'd jump out of the water truck and, like, stretch his legs. It's like, oh, are you getting comfortable? Are you getting comfortable in the truck? And it was on our first one, so it wasn't too bad. But they kept having us run up and down this fucking hill as we were marching.
Wow.
And this kid, when we stopped to get water, this kid jumped off the truck, and he landed kind of funny. He's like, ah! And drill sergeant's like, get the fuck up, Private. Do you think that you can just sit there all day and do nothing? And he's like, it's my ankle, drill sergeant. And the drill sergeant looked at him, and he's like, you fucking idiot. And they had to call for a medevac, and they picked him up in a Humvee, and then the dude was on crutches for the rest of the time that we were there. And as far as I know, like, to my knowledge, probably not. He's still there. As far as I know. Because what they do with you afterwards is, like, it's this really lengthy, like, 6-month process just because they want to teach you a lesson, kind of, for, like, wasting time, the Army's time. So they keep you there for a long time. I know this guy who pissed his pants while I was in the military. He ended up it was about the same time the other kid twisted his ankle. He got sick of running because he was duck-footed, whatever that's called, or pigeon-toed, where his, like,
Pigeon-toed,
feet, his feet, like, move in. So he had trouble running. I don't know why he joined the Army if he had trouble running. He couldn't do it anymore after about a week, and then they actually took him away. And the next time I saw him, he was picking up garbage at a concert that we were all allowed to go to, like, 2 months later.
Oh yeah, because I remember, during my basic, a lot of people dropped out, either medically or physical reasons, and they would go to a special squadron.
Yep.
And at that squadron, they worked because you signed a contract with the government for however many years you signed for, and they're going to use your body no matter if that's for cleaning up the roads, that's mowing. They're going to use you.
Yep.
And if they can't use you as a fighter, they'll use you as basically a bitch worker.
Yep.
And you'll go out there every single day working 12 to 15-hour days, picking up trash.
Yep.
Taking out the trash.
There's a lesson here, children, and that is, if you're going to join the military, make sure that you have conviction to get through it, because if not, you're going to end up being a garbage bitch, is what's going to happen. Do you speaking of basic training, though, you got any funny stories from basic training that you want to tell us? Because I've got tons of them but I have to think about them. But I mean, do you got any funny stories you want to share?
I do have one, yes.
Yes.
We had the world's unluckiest trainee on my flight. This guy, week 2, broke his right ankle.
Oh shit.
The growth plate in your ankle. Yeah, he broke that. But with the cast on, he could still do everything. He could put pressure on it because of the location of it. He could do marching. He could do exercises and all that. So he was still with us.
Nice.
But on the free time, he had to use crutches. Not even 2 weeks later, he has, like, the worst case they have ever had of fucking kidney stones.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It gets better. Wait, it gets better. While passing said kidney stones, because they were spiked barbs, basically. It ripped everything coming out.
Ooh. He started pissing blood.
Ouch. Oh, that wasn't all. But yes. So they rush him they rush him to the fucking hospital there on base, right? And it was a week later that we were going back for our final set of shots, because in the Air Force they do the bulk amount the first week, and then 5th week they do another round of shots that are completely different shots, I guess. We're walking in there, and we go through the urgent care wing, and there he is in a bed with a tube down his throat in a coma.
Oh, shit.
This guy went from being like our top trainee in our flight, right? Like, he was academically on his shit. He was the #1 marcher. He was the #1, weapons expert. He was like the top of our flight, to the guy that almost died because of basic training.
God damn, dude. See, we never had anything really serious like that. I think the worst thing is, because we were doing ours in Georgia, this guy wasn't drinking his water like he was supposed to. We were on one of our longer hikes. It was like a 6 or 7 mile hike. This guy, we'd been marching all morning, and after about 2 hours, he just fell, fell onto the ground.
Damn.
We all stopped. They checked on him. He was out cold. He wasn't sweating, which is a sign of heat stroke.
Yeah,
so they called
dehydration too.
they called medevac, and medevac came and picked him up. And while we were waiting for medevac, they were trying to pour water on him, trying to get him to drink some water if they could get him to drink any, but nothing was helping. And so medevac showed up, and the guy left. We saw him later that day, and we were like, "Yo, so what happened to you?" And he's like, "Well, the doctor said I had heat stroke." And we're like, "Are you okay now?" He's like, "Yeah, kind of. I feel like shit, but they told me just to drink lots of water and I'll be okay. So I have to drink like 2 Camelbacks before I go to bed tonight." And I was like, "Okay, that's a lot of water." And I was like, "What did they do to revive you? Like, what did they do to wake you back up? Like, did they like shoot you with some adrenaline or something, or did they just like cool you down?" And they're like, "Oh, they cooled me down." And I was like, "Well, okay, so like, how did they cool you down?" And he goes, "Well, they have this thing." And I can't remember the name of it, but he said they have this thing. And I don't remember it going in, but I just remember waking up and my ass was cold. And then I remember feeling him pull it out of me. And I was like, "Did they shove something up your ass?" And he goes, "That's exactly what they did." And we asked our drill sergeants about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's totally what they do." And I was like, "Why do they do that?" And he's like, "Well, it's the quickest way to cool down your core." I was like,
Yes,
"So they shoved something in his ass?" It's like, "Yeah, it's basically like a douche that they threw in the freezer and they squeeze it up your ass." And that's how he explained
it's
it.
like ice water.
Yeah, just a cold douche up your butt.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Poor bastard, though. Poor bastard. Had to get something shoved up his butt in the military.
Well, I found out a couple of years later that trainee that was having such a horrible basic training actually went through, finally. It was like 4 months after he started that he was allowed to start again. And he had to start from the very beginning. But he finally made it through basic training, and he last that I remember, he was stationed in California for a little bit. So he made it. I mean, he had a horrible experience, but he made it.
It took some time.
Yeah. Oh, we're running out of time, buddy.
Yeah, I got one more story from when I was in the military, and then we'll call this a night. So, in the military, especially nowadays, they really limit your access to the outside world. And nowadays, everybody has cell phones. Like, everybody has a cell phone, a smartphone. You can get on the internet and stuff. And so they got to
know where this is going already.
So they got to take this shit away from you. And so that was the first thing that they did, is they took away everybody's cell phones. And luckily, everybody was smart. They didn't try to hold on to their cell phones at all. Nobody tried. So everybody had to give up their phones. And they end up in the drill sergeant's office. Drill sergeant's office is attached to the platoon sleeping quarters. Like, it's all like one big thing.
Just like ours.
Yeah, so we had dealt with the first 3 weeks. We weren't allowed to call using the pay phones. We weren't allowed to contact the outside world beyond sending letters out. We could send letters out, and that was the only thing. And then after it was like the 4th or 5th week, everybody who had cell phones was allowed them back long enough to make a phone call. We had them back for like 10 or 15 minutes. I myself didn't have a phone, so I didn't really care. Like I went downstairs and I used the payphones. And that was cool, being able to call my girlfriend at the time and then calling my parents and letting them know how I'm doing, that I was doing all right. Like that was a cool experience after basically no contact with the outside world for about 5 weeks. Uh, After about 7 weeks, like we're almost done at this point, like 7 weeks in, we'd gotten our cell phones back one other time, and then one weekend, these 3 guys, like they couldn't stand not having their cell phones, and so they figured Joe Sarn's not going to notice if we get a hold of our cell phones. So what they decided to do is on the weekend, they go into basically what is the broom closet that is attached, like it's on the other, like there's a wall in between the broom closet and drill sergeant's office.
Okay.
And the entire platoon sleeping quarters is just all drop ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So they figured what they would do is they'd get their cell phones by going through the drop ceiling, and then in order to hide them, they would hide them in the drop ceiling, either in the bathrooms or above their bunks. I don't really know what their plan was exactly, but that was more or less what they were planning on doing. So they sent, there was these 2 big black guys and this little short black guy. They pushed him up into the ceiling, and he started crawling on the drop ceiling. Well, guess what? The drop ceiling isn't really meant to hold people. This
Nope.
guy, he got over the wall and crashed into the drill sergeant's office. And it was like there's no hiding it, there's no getting around it. We and, and, like I was it was the weekend. Like most of us, like we try to get some extra sleep on the weekend. So I was just chilling in the platoon area. I was on my bed, hat over my head, just trying to get some extra shut eye. And all I hear is boom, like this crash in the drill sergeant's office. I was like, oh shit, drill sergeant's here. I got up and I was like looking around. I was like, what's going on? And I look over at the drill sergeant's office and I see the door open. And this guy walks out and he's covered in white shit. There's a black guy covered in all this white shit from the ceiling. And he's like, we're in so much fucking trouble. We're in so much fucking trouble. And
Oh
the two other
man.
the two other black kids who had helped him into the ceiling, they were nowhere to be found. They ran. They took off. It's like, where are you going? Where are you gonna go? Like, we're all gonna get in trouble. The guys were in so much fucking trouble. And sure enough, like 10 minutes later, the drill sergeant who was on duty, because they only have one on the weekends, the drill sergeant who was on duty, he came upstairs to find out what was going on, and he had the 2 kids with him, and he sees that the drill sergeant's office was open, and he didn't even go in there and look or find out. He started beating us, just making us do push-ups, and he called our drill sergeant, explained the situation to him. Then our drill sergeant got down there, and he really fucked us up. Like it was from that moment until dinner, and then we had to come back from dinner, and we had to do it some more until we had to take showers and got a chance to go to bed.
Yeah, you never want to disrupt a drill instructor's weekend.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, he came.
Ever.
He came in civilian clothes, and he sat down on his desk in his like civilian clothes, just shorts and a fucking tank top, and or not a tank top. It was a button up. It was like a white button up. He was just sitting there on that, and he's just beating us to death because of what these kids did. Those 3 guys, they ended up having to get held back like an extra 6 weeks. They had to stay there for an extra 6 weeks and do more basic training. Yeah, because of it. They weren't allowed to graduate. They were so upset. It's like, you guys are fucking idiots. You shouldn't have been trying to get your cell phones, you dumbasses, and you got us all in trouble too. Anyways, I'd love to sit here and tell lots. I've got war stories for days from basic training.
I got a few one from actually working, once out of basic training and got to your actual job, but that could be for another podcast.
Maybe that's what we'll talk about next time when we're together officially.
Yeah.
So that's the announcement. Me and Colby are now a couple. I'm carrying his child, and this is a thing now. This is what's
Oh
happening.
yeah.
Anyway, so next time you see us, we're going to be in the same room. The audio is going to be coming from the same source, and things are going to be a little bit different for the podcast. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good overall, all around, everywhere, all day, every day.
We're gonna have a giant round table. There's gonna be King Arthur's gonna be there. Camelot's gonna be there.
Brienne of Tarth. Brienne of Tarth is also going to be there.
Yes.
She represents. She's representing.
We're gonna be in garb. You know, I'm gonna be in a nice little robe.
she's going to be representing the First Order. Anyways.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching. We truly appreciate it. Enjoy your Halloween. Be safe. If you're an adult out there and you're going to be drinking, don't go doing any driving. I did not make that mistake this weekend, and neither should you. We will see you in a month on the Trial by Fire podcast when I'm in Texas, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Find the button here to end.